Hi, this is Scott Sorrell, Mr. Charge Higher Prices. On this 11-minute audio program today, I'm going to teach you one of my most powerful, easiest to learn, and most consistently profitable sales techniques from my series called How to Charge Higher Prices and Get Your Customers to Thank You for It. Many of these techniques are taken from the next bestseller in the Guerrilla Marketing series, which I'm currently co-authoring with J. Conrad Levinson. If you like what I teach you today, which I have no doubt you will, and if you want to learn more, please get in touch. I'll give you my contact info in a few minutes. They call me Mr. Charge Higher Prices because I teach the smartest companies in the world how to get to the top of their customers' price range and stay there. I've identified more than 80 different techniques, strategies, and methods to get customers to pay you more than they had originally planned, but still be delighted they did so. Some are more sales-oriented, some strategic, some are marketing-related, but all of them are powerful, and you need to learn them. So let's talk about just one of these mysterious methods for charging higher prices. I call it take it from the top. People will end up buying a higher-end item at a higher price if you show them your highest priced item first and then work your way down through your product line than if you start with your bottom drawer, lowest priced item first and then work your way upward. Why? Well, we'll get to the why in a minute, but a good amount of research has been done on this subject and it bears out the effectiveness of this tactic. A number of years ago, a billiard table retailer decided to test the two approaches against each other to see which would really work better on the showroom floor, top to bottom or bottom to top. So they gave their sales force the mandate that, for a particular period of time, no matter which pool table a customer announced they had stopped in to see, the sales representative was to take the prospect over to the bottom of the line table, about a $329 affair, and then work their way up through the line, showing the more and more feature-rich tables until they had gotten to the top of the line table, about $3,000, with the Queen Anne legs, the beautiful carved siding, the gold fringe on the pockets, the whole enchilada. Well, they tracked sales for that period of time and found that the average ticket was about $550. Then they instructed the sales team that for the exact same period of time, no matter which table the customer had come in to see, even if it was the special loss leader $329 table, they were to escort the prospect to the fully decked out $3,000 table first, then work their way down through the product line, finally ending up at the dinky little $329 table, which oftentimes had been the specific reason the customer had stopped in. Now, if you guessed that after starting with the $3,000 Rolls-Royce of pool tables, nobody wanted to get near buying the $329 pushcart, you'd be right on the money. Almost twice as much on the money, in fact, because the average purchase invoice for the second time period was about $1,000, almost twice what it had been for the first time period. Now, I'm a student of psychology. I've put a lot of analysis into why this is true, and I believe I've determined the reason why this works so consistently for just about every customer across the board. It's because any person has to use the first thing you show them as the standard by which they judge everything else. People are comparers by nature. In order to make a comparison, though, a person has to have one thing on hand, one thing in their brain to use as their initial benchmark by which to judge the next thing. When you start by showing a customer your top-of-the-line widget with all of its bells and whistles, the customer says, "Ah, so that's what a widget looks like, is it? And that must be the acceptable set of features that come with a widget." You see, there's a subconscious standard that's been set, and a subconscious demand for that standard has been created. When you start working down from there, the customer soon starts feeling a sense of loss because you're taking away things. Soon they'll say, "Hey, wait a minute, now you're taking away too much. The widget I want may not have to have absolutely every feature, but it should at least have most of them to be acceptable. Otherwise, it's not much of a widget, is it?" So even if the customer ultimately can't afford that premium level of widget, they're going to rationalize and justify and stretch as much as they can financially to get as close as possible to that premium level widget, which they originally set as their barometer, their standard, their benchmark of what an acceptable widget is supposed to look like. Now, on the other hand, when you begin by showing the customer your bottom-end, stripped-down widget with its minimal features, the customer says, "Ah, so that's what a widget looks like, is it? And that must be the acceptable set of features that come with a widget." Again, a subconscious standard has been set, this time a low one, and a subconscious acceptance of that low standard has been created. When you start working your way up the product line and adding more and more features now, and the customer sees the price climbing, the customer very soon stops you. Hey, wait a minute. What are you trying to do? Pad the invoice and sell me a bunch of stuff that a widget doesn't really need to have? I'm perfectly fine with your basic widget, thank you very much, plus maybe a bell and a whistle or two. All that other stuff, though, is way overkill for a widget from what I can see. So as soon as the customer starts seeing the invoice balloon with the widget, they're going to resist and start pushing back. They feel like they're being sold. Now, does this mean you should never promote the base model and then upsell? Not at all. In fact, oftentimes it's the low price base model offer that gets them through the front door in the first place. I'm using front door in both a literal and a figurative sense, by the way, depending on the type of business you're in. But once the customer is pulled through that front door to look at what you have to offer, yes, they typically will end up buying additional features and options that look attractive to them, being upsold in other words. But the plain fact is that the upsell will be higher if you take it from the top. And once the initial sale is made, there can still be plenty of add-on and cross-sell opportunities later on to be taken advantage of. So, what are the implications here? What product and pricing presentation strategies are suggested? Well, first, no matter what you sell, create tiered purchase options. And then when you do, present them from the top down. It's pretty simple. Now there are more considerations and applications of this technique, but these are the basics. If you master just what I've taught you so far, and you use it on your customers, you'll start seeing more consistent and more profitable results. You'll make more money, and your customers will get a more robust product or service with which to meet their needs. Meaning they'll be more satisfied because they didn't cheap out once again and end up unhappy with the consequences of yet another poor buying decision based solely on low price. Now, despite using our take it from the top technique, will some customers still be dead set on buying your low budget economy version? Of course, but very few. Will others still purchase the top shelf luxury model no matter where you start selling them? Yes, but again, very few. What we're focusing on here is the large group of customers that make up the middle of the bell curve. And a big increase in bottom line profits can be realized by doing what we call moving the middle, shifting that large cluster of buyers upward in their invoice total. Our take it from the top tactic provides just that kind of upward shift. So use it, and you'll start seeing a lift to your bottom line right away. So let's hit the highlights again just to make sure we have this down. Sell from the top down, not the bottom up. People are comparers by nature. If you start at the top and give a guy a high standard by which to judge the product he's about to buy, anything that looks like it's of significantly less quality or has fewer features is going to be perceived as a piece of junk by comparison. So he's going to resist more and more every notch you go down. He's only going to tolerate so much being taken away before he says, "Hold it, that's enough. I may be price conscious and I may be looking for inexpensive, but I'm not going to tolerate cheap. I'll fork over for a certain amount of quality. I may not be Mr. Top Shelf, but I'm not getting anywhere near the bottom of the barrel either. Not even close." Which means this guy will buy at a higher price, closer to the top of the line every time. But if you start at the bottom, giving the same guy a low standard by which to judge the product he's about to buy, then anything else he sees is going to be a step up, right? So he'll buy feeling good about it even if it's still at the lower end of the product mix. When you start out your pitch showing him the absolute bottom, he doesn't have to step very high up the ladder to feel like he's really pimped out his purchase. Matter of fact, start adding on too many optional features and he's going to say, "What, are you crazy? I don't need all this stuff. Stop trying to sell me. Man, these sales types are pushy." And where is he going to buy? Right, he'll drop way back down in the product mix because, once again, the very lowest end bargain basement item is the thing that defines cheap. So anything above it is quality compared to that standard for this buyer. So take it from the top. And oh, by the way, this tactic works just as well for services as it does for products. And you can take that to the bank. This is Scott Sorrell, Mr. Charge Higher Prices, with one of the 80 different ways to charge higher prices and get your customers to thank you for it. Give me a call at 949-650-0006 to book me for a conference, a workshop, or a keynote speech, or to do a profit-pumping, customized training series for your entire sales team that'll boost your margins into the stratosphere. Or you can email me at ceo@ at salesadrenaline.com. Remember, there are 79 more ways to get people to pay you more than they thought they were going to pay you for your product or service, but still be glad they did so. And if you and your team learn them and use them in the right combination, you'll command top dollar in a down economy or any economy, and ensure that in whatever your market, your competitor is the one that'll be stuck selling on price, but still not getting the deal and completely unable to figure out how you got it instead. So call me at 949-650-0006 or email me at ceo@salesadrenaline.com. This is Scott Sorrell, Mr. Charge Higher Prices, signing off and wishing you higher prices, bigger profits, and a whole lot of personal blessings to go with your financial success.